rules so they won't stop.
Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Thank you, John. We're going to try something a little bit different this afternoon. I hope that you'll take part, have a little bit of fun, maybe learn a little bit about the country. Won't be doing the show tomorrow. It is, of course, Canada Day, but more importantly, at least around the Green household, it is also the 26th wedding anniversary for Debbie and I.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We've actually been together quite a bit longer than that, but I figure that if she stuck with me for 26 years, she certainly deserves some sort of sainthood.
Are you taking her out are you taking her out for teen burgers? Is that what you're doing?
I've had a terrible knee, but hopefully I'll be able to limp someplace tomorrow. Hopefully.
Well, congratulations.
And I should also say that I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks vacation. We started this program. I didn't realize this. Debbie was going back in her diary, and we started back in September. So it's been how many days, this program now, John?
This is show number 176.
I can't believe it.
Right?
I remember those first few days. I was so frustrated. We had all sorts of technical problems, and I stormed out of here several times. But
credit where credit is due, Lowell. You took a lot on yourself for someone who has spent his career with producers, etc., phone screeners, and we set you up in the studio where you were answering your own phone, you were getting yourself on. You handled it really, really well, I thought.
Well, not that well, but anyway.
I know some technical issues, but you did well.
Well, thank God it was your idea, actually, for you to come on. And
don't blame me for that.
No, the two-person show, I think, worked well. I have to be very honest with you. I have been trying to convince my wife to join me on the show once in a while. I think a husband and wife show would be a real smash. Debbie is very, very good. She appears once in a while on this program. I don't identify her as my wife, but she's got some different views sometimes from mine.
Sure,
but she's she until this point. Maybe I just haven't bribed her enough. Maybe that's what it is.
Teen burgers, Lowell. I'm telling you, teen burgers.
Oh, my goodness. So today, let's talk about this country of ours, okay?
All right.
What do you think is the best thing about Canada? What do you take the most pride in? Like, if you're talking to an American or a German or a Swiss or something, and you're talking about Canada, what would you say you're most proud? What would you try to, if you're trying to encourage them to come here? What sort of message would you give? What do you take the most pride in this country? And in that theme, where do you consider the best part of Canada to be? Is there some special place that you may have discovered? Maybe it's where you were born and grew up. A little village someplace that strikes you especially, a special chord? A lake, campsite, cabin in the woods? As I say, maybe the town where you were born or grew up. In this question, what do you think is the prettiest place in Canada? Of all the places you have visited, what would you say is the prettiest? Can you remember coming around a curve someplace or just looking up and say, oh my God, that is so spectacular? Prettiest place in Canada. The Rockies, maybe? The prairies? No, don't laugh. There's some beautiful spots on the prairies. Algonquin Park? Line up to see a moose? You ever been in Algonquin Park when the tourists discover a moose? Oh my God, you wouldn't believe the number of cameras that come out. It's quite astonishing. The road is blocked for months, for miles, if a moose comes out. What do you? And I often ask this as well. We're talking about the prettiest place, but also the most spectacular drive. And the reason that I ask that is that, in my mind, there is not only, I think, the most spectacular drive. I'm talking about a highway, a road. Not only the most spectacular in Canada, but I think probably one of the most spectacular in all the world. There may be some places in Switzerland that can rival this, but I'm going to tell you. And, Debbie and I have visited most places in Europe, spent time here and there. But that drive from Banff, Alberta, up through to Jasper, wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, that just takes your breath away. About halfway there, you stop. There's the big glacier, and you can take one of those great huge buses and go out into the middle of the glacier. But the road itself is just spectacular. And in all probability, you're going to see a grizzly or two along the roadside, maybe a couple of black bears. It's so if and other people now. I have never driven the Gaspé. People tell me that it's pretty spectacular as well. The Cabot Trail. My wife tells me that in a past life, she drove the Cabot Trail and never saw a thing. The fog was there the whole time, so all they saw was just fog. But you may have a spectacular drive, a pretty place. What are some of your favorite memories of growing up in Canada? Could have been in Ottawa, could be in some other place. What are some of your favorite memories? And what part of Canada's history interests you the most? We have a fantastic history here. Is there any part of it that really, like, if you could go back in time, what period would you go back to? What would you like to find out more about? What kind of memories do you have about your hometown? Was it fun growing up there or a pain in the butt? I must tell you that no question in my mind, my happiest childhood days were on my grandfather's farm in Arthur, Ontario. I don't know how many of you know where Arthur is. You haven't missed a heck of a lot. But for a little kid growing up, it was spectacular, absolute and utter freedom. I have, I sometimes have to laugh at the helicopter parents that I see today and all of the concerns and so forth. I have pictures of me at age 6 and 7 with a 22. I was allowed to go out hunting groundhogs when I was 6 and 7 years old with a 22 rifle. That's how free. Now, I had lessons and I had great respect for it, but it was just that kind of freedom. Okay, we would go out and take cattails. I had two uncles. One uncle only a year older than I, and another 3 years older. So we were like three brothers. And one of our favorite sports was things to do at night, because there was no television, we had no radio. So you had to make your own fun, right? Some of you older people will remember those days. But we would go out and we would cut cattails, and we would dip them in kerosene and light fire and race around the front yard with these burning torches. And you imagine kids being allowed to do that today? No. John, you grew up in New Brunswick.
No. I grew up in Ottawa. My wife is from New Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but, which means, of course,
New Brunswick is one of your favorite places today, you say.
I absolutely love it. Just, being on that ocean, being on those mud flats, and
what
just
the hell
do
you do, though, on a mud flat?
You walk the dog, you just do photography, you look for
clams?
Well, yeah, there's clams, but sea glass, seashells. It's just, the peacefulness is just absolutely anywhere in the Maritimes and the East Coast is gorgeous.
Peaceful sounds great. It's nice for a time, but it seems to me that you can get too much peacefulness.
No,
not for you.
No.
I must tell you that, and one of the things too that if anybody wants to address is one of the disappointments. If we're talking about peaceful, I would say the most disappointing place that I ever visited, and I know some of you people are going to gasp with astonishment, but it has to be Prince Edward Island. We took a youngster and a teenager there. It had to be the most boring place in the world. I'll never forget. We're driving Dania and Jeremy. And we're talking about, you're just going to love PEI. Wait till you see what's one of the main towns in
Cavendish.
Cavendish.
Yep.
That's it. We said, wait till you see Cavendish. Wait till you see Cavendish. Well, geez, we drove into Cavendish. There's like a garage. There may have been a corner store, and that's about it. So that's Cavendish. Yeah, there's Cavendish.
Sounds like my kind of place, Lowell.
So that was one of the disappointments. They had, some beaches, but the water was so damn cold you couldn't swim in it anyway. But anyway, aside from that, and there's no question that one of my favorite places in Canada, and certainly the favorite place to visit for Deborah, is the Okanagan Valley. You ever been to the Okanagan Valley?
I've been as far west as Alberta. I've not made it to BC yet, regrettably.
The Okanagan Valley is Debbie's piping up in the background there.
We're going to get you a microphone if you're not careful, Debbie.
But how about you, folks? You are listening or watching. What do you think's the best thing about Canada? The thing that you take the most pride in? What accomplishment by Canada do you boast about? Where do you think is the best part of Canada? If you had all kinds of money, where would you move to? If you had all kinds of money, John, not suggesting you don't.
Oh, I'm just swimming in dough,
Where would you go? Would you go to New Brunswick? Would you actually live there?
I would. New Brunswick or Nova Scotia, certainly the Maritimes.
Nova Scotia, we spent a couple of weeks there. The problem with them, what the problem in the Maritimes is? The freaking weather. The weather is just so bad so often.
Oh, it's so wonderful here in the wintertime, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about the summertime. We spent 2 weeks in Nova Scotia. We rented a place. You have to be careful when you rent these places. We rented a place. We went to, I forget, it was Airbnb, and this wonderful description of this place on Mahone Bay.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It was on Mahone Bay, but it was about 25 miles from any place. You just had to drive and drive and drive. And I'll never forget, one of the big things they were talking about when they're trying to sell this place was the wonderful clam chowder you could get at this restaurant. Well, the restaurant turned out to be a tiny little corner of the general store.
Yeah.
And it was some woman. The only thing is, like, half the time you went there and she was out of it or didn't have it or whatever. So, but aside from, we went to Peggy's Cove, which is quite spectacular.
Yes.
It was the only nice day of the whole time. But folks, enough about me and enough about John. What about you? And by the way, while we're talking about that, what's your favorite thing about Ottawa? Your favorite Canadian holiday place? And this very important question, okay? Here comes the real important question. Can you tell me where the St. Lawrence Seaway is?
I can.
Do you know where the Big Nickel is? Have you ever seen the Big Nickel? Do you know what the Big Nickel is?
Yes, and yes, and yes.
And do you know where Canada's only real desert is? And it is a real desert.
I think so.
All right. All things Canadian today. And we have our first phone call, Andre. Andre, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, hello, Mr. Green. I wanted to come on and say thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication that you've done for the country for the last many, many, many years. You're a true trailblazer for the Canadians, really.
A trailblazer. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I've blazed many a trail, believe me, not all in pleasant places either, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, those unicorn farts come in handy, don't they?
That's right, absolutely.
So I wanted to share my favorite place. I've been to Nova Scotia, Halifax, just before Hurricane Juan, so I didn't get to see much of it.
Right.
And I've also been to Calgary, Alberta, and I do have to say that Calgary was a lot nicer. As one of my favorite places in this country to visit and see.
I missed that. We lied. Your phone is fading out. Where's your favorite place again?
Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary.
Yeah.
You know what? I've just driven through Calgary. What about Calgary do you like?
Well, you can see a lot of the mountains. We took the trip or the trail that brings you to the Olympic Village from when they had the Calgary Olympics, and it was in the middle of the summer, so it's still just as beautiful, even though it was in the summer.
Have you taken that drive from Banff up to Jasper? Did you ever go there?
No, I was only there for a weekend for my honeymoon, which wasn't much of a honeymoon, but yeah, it was fun.
Wasn't much of a honeymoon.
No.
I'm not going to get into that one.
No, that's another show.
We got what's the favorite thing as far as you're concerned about Ottawa?
I don't know. We do have a really beautiful city. I've been over to Mer Bleue, which is not far from the airport here where I live, and it's a very really beautiful area. I mean, we don't realize how beautiful our country is until we go and see it.
Very true. You know, one of the favorite things, as far as I'm concerned, about Ottawa is how close the outdoors is. I mean, I live out here within a 20-minute drive of downtown Ottawa, and I'm in the middle of a forest. You know, I have deer in my backyard, wild turkeys, bears come all the time. And I have all sorts of fancy pigeons that I raise. And as I say, I'm only about 25 minutes from right downtown Ottawa. When you think of living in some of these other cities, man, 25, like Toronto, 25 minutes in Toronto will get you into Toronto, right?
Yeah, to downtown where you don't see much.
You know what, Andre? Thank you for the call, sir. I'm sorry about that honeymoon. That doesn't sound too good.
Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. And John, we got anybody texts coming in?
We got lots and lots and lots of texts, and we invite your calls as well. We love the calls, especially on light topics like this.
Yeah, and if anybody had a happy honeymoon, like to hear that.
Mine wasn't so great, but again, it's not about us today.
Wait a minute, before you go further,
Why?
I have to tell you about Debbie and my honeymoon.
All right.
So we're married. We have a little island down in Lake Opinacon in the Rideau Lake system. Okay, it's a little island. And so about 25 people are invited for our wedding on the island. A number of whom, unknown to me, stayed overnight and so forth, but I won't get into that. So the next day, almost everybody is gone. The only thing that is left are 18 bags of garbage. Okay, 18 bags of garbage. And we've got to get these because it's a hot day. This is July 2nd. We got married on July 1st. So we have to get these bags of garbage to the dump. And I am driving at the time a little Geo that has no trunk. So this is our honeymoon, okay? I mean, we got married on the 1st. Now this is the 2nd. This is supposed to be our honeymoon. So our honeymoon is spent ferrying 18 stinking bags of garbage to the local dump at Elgin. Now, to do this, I've got to take the 18 bags of garbage, put them on. We have a little boat. I got to put them on the boat, take them out of the boat, put them into the car, and there's no trunk. So we've got to, in other words, we have to huddle in there, particularly Debbie, with 18 bags of stinking garbage. I'll never forget. We're at the Elgin dump. Have you ever been to the Elgin dump? No, you haven't lived, man. If you haven't been to the Elgin dump, you really haven't lived.
It's on my bucket list, I assure you.
The Elgin dump it's a big ravine, okay, a big valley. So you drive up, and there's a cliff, and you're supposed to throw your garbage down into the ravine. No problem with that. But the thing is you're supposed to, on every bag of garbage, you're supposed to put this sticker. Now, it's July 2nd. There's nobody within 100 miles of us. And we're out there, and it's about 30, 32, 30. It's terribly hot, and it's stinking. And the stink is coming up from the dump below us, okay? And there I am, Debbie, putting stickers on every one of these 18 freaking bags. All at once, I turned it, and I said, Debbie, what the hell is the matter with us? We're so freaking Canadian. We're putting stickers on garbage bag in the middle of nowhere, standing here in the stink. So we just threw the rest of the 18 bags. And then you know what we did for a special honeymoon lunch? We went and had pizza at the Elgin Pizzeria.
Wow.
It was 18. You haven't lived till you've ferried 18 bags of stinking garbage in a Geo, believe me. All right, text over to you, John.
So I was kidding about taking her out for a teen burger, but that would be a step up from the pizza, I think. Here we go. Long Point Driver is watching on Twitch. He says Algonquin Park, all the national parks, really, coast to coast, we have a beautiful country. Chrissy, says Banff and Lake Louise. Kelly loves the lock systems, loves traveling the lock systems.
Yeah, the lock systems are fun. The Rideau Canal.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, no question. And has anybody listening ever been up the Trent? I've been up the Trent system as well through to Orillia. It's quite spectacular as well.
I hadn't done the locks until Canada's 150th, and boy, did I regret not having done that sooner. Just fantastic.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular.
Yep.
No question about it.
Carrie says, I came to Canada at 21, grew up in Norway. I think the best thing about Canada is the people. Too many great places to name just one. Rob in Carlton Place emails to say the best thing about living in Canada was being able to listen to the Lowell Green Show for 25 years. Now, if only I could find the island of sanity, life would be perfect. Thank you, Rob. Macaulay E. says cottage country in the Pontiac is where it's at. Lisa loves Sandbanks, doesn't really find Ottawa that exciting, does love the Bay of Fundy in Quebec City.
You know, talking about the Sandbanks, a lot of people don't know about this, but the Sandbanks are quite spectacular.
Yeah.
And this is within, what are we looking, maybe an hour's drive from Ottawa? Prince Edward County. Debbie and I spent 2 really great weeks in Prince Edward County, all the wine country there.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice area. There's no question about it. But the Sandbanks, those sand dunes there are, I think, unrivaled in the country. Huge dunes. And if you got a bad knee like me, trying to get over them can be a problem. But the beach itself is just spectacular. A lot of people don't know that. We have one of the most spectacular beaches in all of Canada within about an hour's drive of us here. Go ahead, John. Whoop.
Sorry, just screening some calls here, Lowell. We got Barry on the line. Barry, go ahead. You're on with Lowell Green as I multitask. Go ahead.
Oh, a stranger here. Yes, Barry.
Good day, Lowell. I just wanted you to know that I didn't want you to feel lonely out there thinking that you're the only one that's ever been to the Elgin dump, because I've been there myself.
It's a wonderful thing. By the way, I forgot to mention the one. Sorry, Barry, just let me finish this for a sec. One of the things my wife hates is bowling. She does not like bowling. So where did we go for the pizzeria? To the Elgin bowling lane. The only place we could get a pizza in Elgin was at the Elgin bowling lane. So this was a wonderful, wonderful honeymoon for her. Go ahead, Barry.
Well, I'm sorry I missed your wedding party. I remember I remember where your cottage was, and I waved to you one day when I was out fishing, because my parents had their cottage on Lake Apinican, and I want to say that's, I think, one of the nicest lakes on the Rideau system. It's just like the Thousand Islands, you know, all the bays and all the places you could get to with a small boat to go fishing was just great for my interests. But I remember one day there was an Oriental family that lived on the bay right beside your place. and they went out in their boat with the big, V6 engine or whatever in it, and then I was at that big island with the big summer house on it right next door to your place. I was fishing in their bay right underneath their dock, and this family came out, father and mother and son, and their boat died on them, and they kept trying to start it. And so finally I just figured I better go over and say something, because they could wear something out really bad if they just keep trying to start it or wear out the starter. So I went over and told them that, I'd give them a tow.
Barry, you're going to have to shorten this down, sir. We're running short of time here.
Yeah, well, anyways, I told them back by your place, and you had a farm tractor and a barge at your place that weekend. And when I came through the channel, there was a boat coming from the locks, and I had to wave like crazy at him because I didn't have a whistle or a horn. And I looked over at you and Debbie and whoever was there working with you. You were all staring at me in this little wee aluminum boat with a 9.9, just putting along, towing this bigger boat back to their dock. And I waved to you guys, and I think I got a wave back, but I never stopped in and introduced myself, even though I was listening.
Well, listen, Barry, we're running short of time. I'm going to wave you goodbye right now.
One more thing real quick, Lowell.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about Canada is its people, and I've been all across this country in summer holidays because my father was a teacher. When I was a kid seeing the country, he was from North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and I've been all over this country as a truck driver, and I would have to rate the people as number one. All the beautiful landscapes and mountains and everything else just goes hand in hand with the people we have.
Barry, I'm sorry, Barry. Wait. We got to give the other people a chance here. Thank you very much. John, you've got some more texts coming in.
One of my favorite places is Pakenham. Great place to have a nice little picnic. What do you know about Pakenham, Lowell Green?
Well, I know that one of the major appliance dealers in this neck of the woods resides there. And we were talking about the history of Canada. Shields has been there for 75 years. Started by the grandfather, 1947, taken over by the father, and now the son. Great spot, folks. I've mentioned this many, many times. I won't give you any more of a pitch other than to say it's the last day of the big Frigidaire sale, but always you're going to save money. Not only that, you're dealing locally with some great people. They've got almost everything you want in stock, no long delays. Prices are very competitive. Just check them out. That's all I ask. Give them a chance. Get them on the ladder of your shopping list ladder. Shields.ca. Yes, John, more text.
613-413-2217. This person says, Lowell, I really enjoyed the drive from Vancouver to Whistler. As for Ottawa, I really appreciate the Ottawa River, driving on the parkways and boating on it every year. I also like the local fairs and fireworks displays hosted at the casino. Margaret says, my first sight of PEI approaching on the ferry. Amazing red sand, my favorite place. Angela says, my favorite place is Wasaga Beach. Watching the sunset, it is gorgeous. Julie says her favorite place was Iona, Cape Breton, and the Cabot Trail. Norma says the Cabot Trail is a Canadian treasure. Sean says prettiest place for him, I'm assuming Sean is a him, is Cape Breton. Kim says best part about Canada, the opportunities to be whatever you want to be. Got an email here from Lisa. Lowell, the prettiest place I'd have to say is the eastern townships of Quebec, not just because I was born there, the rolling hills, ruralness of the region. It's not overpopulated and congested. There's just
and
such
the best apples everywhere. Rougemont down in the townships. Yes.
Craig says one of my favorite memories is at the family's cottage compound on Cottenham's Island, just outside of Pembroke, where my mother's family owned and operated the Medelstedt Bakery. Right on. Peter says, Canada has a giant heart for people in general and welcoming to others. I think Ottawa and Parliament Hill, when you're standing there looking at the Peace Tower, it gives you a strong feeling of pride, touches your heart. In every province in Canada, there's something amazing in each area. Kingston often amazes me to think it used to be the capital where our first PM lived and government was located.
You know, that's very, very true, Kingston. Yeah. And if I have a criticism of Ottawa, and I know you share this, John, is that the fact that we haven't utilized our waterfront nearly the way we should have. You go to Halifax and see the way they've utilized their waterfront, and Kingston. I've never been able to understand why, aside from the Ritz Cafe, where else can you
National Arts Center?
About it. I mean, we're at the confluence of three major rivers.
Yep.
Three of the largest rivers in the world. We meet here at Ottawa. And we don't utilize the waterfront, including, by the way, in the city of Hull. They do a bit of a better job. But anyway, that's my only complaint. Aside from that, you're quite right. Ottawa has done a great job. And as I say, the nice thing about Ottawa for me is how close the outdoors is. John, we're almost out of time here. Got to get a word in about some other really great people. And of course, it's Centennial Glass. Folks, if you have a project of any kind involving glass or could involve glass, give them a call at Centennial Glass. They've got some people there who plan. If you have an idea of maybe some glass furniture, maybe a glass railing, glass banisters, glass pad, whatever it is, give them a call at Centennial Glass. Tell them your plans. They'll help you out. They'll help price it, find out whether it's feasible and whether you can afford it or not. They're good people. They live up to absolutely what they say. Centennial Glass, Industrial Avenue, and in Renfrew. More texts, John. Yes.
Damn it, Lowell, you can't even do a Canada Day show about what's great in Canada without being contentious and starting a fight. Here we go. Sean says, Lowell, the best apples come from the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia. You've been told.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Rougemont down in the eastern townships. I must tell you that my old buddy, my roommate at McDonald, John Standish, God bless him, God rest his soul, came from Rougemont, and I take his word for it. He said, Lowell, the apples in Rougemont are the finest in the world, and I believe John. Can't argue with my old roommate. John, we want to say goodbye now for a couple of weeks. I'll just remind people once again that I'm going to take a couple of weeks off, come back refreshed, and contentious again. I may once in a while be contentious again, John.
We like that about you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all, folks.
Yeah, for all the listeners and followers, keep your eye on Lowell's social media. Keep your eye as well at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. We'll update you when Lowell is scheduled to return.
And I just have one request,
of course.
Okay? Do we have problems in this country, folks? We all know that. But tomorrow, rejoice. With all of the problems and everything that we have faced here, not a very friendly climate, not a very friendly landscape, next to a giant down there, we have done one hell of a great job. Celebrate it tomorrow. Thank you.
Happy anniversary, Lowell Green.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify,